Red Zone Sports Ante. Wham, bam, thank you, Uncle Sam.
Welcome along to week 8 of Upping The Ante in association with RedZone.bet with myself, David Jennings, and Gavin Lynch. Now, we've got a jam-packed show for you this week. We're going to talk about the novice chases at the Cheltenham Festival. We're going to talk about the trainer's title at the Cheltenham Festival and the Pressbury Cup. And, of course, you've got myself and Gavin's anti-post tip for the Cheltenham Festival. So, plenty to get through. And we're going to start with what we've learned in the last 7 days, Gavin. You've got 13 horses who have caught your eye in the last week.
How are you, Dave?
I'm good, Gavin, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Just say hello to you.
Thanks.
Last Monday, a horse who actually ran in the Irish Derby, believe it or not, Carlo Baraghi. He won a maiden hurdle in Punchestown. He's 16-1 for the Triumph hurdle. It was very, very green, didn't jump the best, but after the last, it showed a good turn of foot, so that's worth a mention. Dallas de Pictons won the same day, a 2.5 mile maiden hurdle. Might end up in a Bartlett. He's going to be a 16-20 to 1 shot if he does, but just he's worth a mention. On Thursday, Elusive Bell, who had been second in a listed bumper for Peter Fahey, had its first run for Nicky Henderson and won by 19 lengths for Sam Whaley-Cohen. So she'll end
It's interesting, the horse that she beat was a horse called, if I remember correctly, This'll Do Nicely, who finished 4th to Angel's Breath at Ascot, who's favourite for the Supreme. We'll come to that later.
Okay, good
Continue.
time in there. Yeah. We're on to Saturday now in Navan. Galvin gave a bit of weight away and won a winner's race by 5 lengths. He's 2 from 2 in bumpers, 2 from 2 over hurdles. Goes to Musselburgh for one of their big days in a few weeks' time. So he could be an outsider for Cheltenham too. Just one thing to mention in Navan on Saturday. It was very, very disappointing from an Irish racing point of view. Nelly Pledge, you didn't get to see the first 4 or 5 fences in that race.
And that doesn't suit somebody like you that's a thorough form student.
Yeah, you still can't get to see it. By the time, like I tried the TV, I tried my phone, I tried everything. Even went in through an exchange to see could I see the start of the race. And by the time they showed the race, Nelly Pledge is 5-2 favourite because it's 4 lengths in front. So to me, that's not good enough.
Give Racing TV a quick rating out of 10 so far.
I would say on busy days, 5 or 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too happy. In Ascot on Saturday, of course, the main man done his business.
Going Altior.
Yeah, he was fantastic. Obviously, he jumped to his left, which we haven't really seen too much before. Nicky said to the papers, I think on Sunday, that Special Tiara did it at Christmas. Altior did a little bit of it at Christmas. And then when he had to make his own running, he did plenty of it on Saturday. So
Is that like you copying what I do?
at golf, yeah.
Never do that.
Yeah, you hit it left to right.
Yeah.
But anyway, it won't make any difference for Altior going the other way around at Cheltenham, but just it was something to note. But he showed that
Still the best horse in training?
By a mile, yeah. He's 17 in a row, isn't it? He's level now with Big Bucks. But to do it mostly over fences is way harder than doing it over hurdles.
Sprinter Sacre or Altior?
Sprinter Sacre's rated 188, but at the moment there's no way he could give him £13, 175.
Okay.
Level weights, you'd go for the former. Also, Surname is worth a mention. Won't be 21 lengths off 150.
That was some performance.
Huge performance. But all his 4 wins now have been a right-handed track, so he won't go to Cheltenham. But just to mention him. In Haydock, there was 3 horses to note. One was Castafiore, a very nice mare, who won a 2.5 mile novice chase. Easy enough in the end from Jerry's back. Mr. Fisher won the Supreme Trial by 2.5 lengths from Bright Forecast. Did it quite nice.
Like him.
Global Citizen won the strangely titled New One Unibet Hurdle by 3 lengths from...
Yeah, different tactics deployed there. Interesting.
Yeah, it was well beat behind for Dana Blue and Bouverdare at Christmas, but it won nice, yeah. And in Taunton, a horse called Thomas Darby won. He'd previously been 3rd to Mr. Fisher, so that might do
Really
your...
interesting. We'll talk about that later.
And yesterday in Thurles, Uccello Conti won okay, I suppose. He'd want to improve.
Would he have won?
He would have, but only by a couple of lengths. That performance, beating a couple of 20 to 1 shots by 3 or 4 lengths, is not good enough to win at Cheltenham, but if he improved, he might have an each way squeak in the Fox Hunters. 2A Permis beat Sub-Lieutenant in what used to be called the Kinloch Bray Chase. One thing to note for 2A Permis supporters is that 2 years ago, Sizing John beat Sub-Lieutenant in the same race. So, now the one thing about 2A Permis is that he's only 6, which is a remarkable performance for a 6-year-old. So I think, maybe not this year, but definitely next year he'd have to have a chance in a Gold Cup. Any horse that wins the Tri-Town definitely stays. There's no issue with staying. So it'd be interesting. What do you think of him next year?
I think he's the reincarnation of Road to Respect, a horse that's come from such a low level, from a different stable. And you have to hand it to Noel. He's done a tremendous job with 2A Permis. Probably not good enough to win a Gold Cup this year, certainly not.
Would you give him a chance next year?
Probably not.
I would.
Okay.
I think there's very few 6-year-olds could do that. Camellia Ducat is worth a mention. She's now 5 from 6 over fences. She may end up, she won't win one of the grade 1s at Cheltenham, but she might end up maybe in the Close Brothers Novice Handicap. And the last thing to point out, that if Camellia de Cotte didn't win yesterday, it would have been the third weekend in a row where Willie Mullins had no winner in Ireland in the weekend.
Whoa.
And in
That is a
January-
very interesting stat.
Yeah, so that would never be normal. Normally never happens, you know.
No, certainly not. Hopefully the rain will come. I know it's yielding ground at Goran on Thursday, and hopefully we'll get to see some more of Willie Mullins' top string this week. Now, Gavin, before we move on and have a look at the novice chases at the Cheltenham Festival, we've got some questions sent in and some thoughts from YouTube and Twitter followers. And the first one, David, give Gavin Lynch a shake. You're the manager here. Have a word. He's like Ozil, World Cup winner, underperforming. OK Corral at 3-1. But he needs to be given a good damn talking to up his game. He's better than this. Are you better than this, Gavin?
Well, it's a strange Cheltenham this year. It's very, very hard to come on here every week and actually find a horse to tip up. Normally I'd have 8 or 10 grand spent on Cheltenham. I've hardly spent 2 grand this year. It's just hard to find horses to back. I think OK Corral could go off short. There's a lot of races very open this year, which could end up being an opportunity because I don't think we've seen too many winners yet at Cheltenham, do you know?
And that question came in from Mark Mackey. And Mark, just to let you know, like, we haven't even reached half time yet. So when half time comes, maybe in 2 or 3 weeks' time, when you've got 2 or 3 weeks to the festival, I'll have the pep talk.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll get the hairdryer out and we'll have a good talking to. And Ross Arman says, there just seems to be not too many standout horses for the festival, bar Apple's Jade, like there's been in previous years. And I know that's something you agree with.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, obviously Altior, Apple's Jade, and 1 or 2 others, but overall there's a huge amount of open races, isn't there?
There certainly is. And Roger Armstrong says, welcome back to Upping the Ante. Could you and Gavin offer your thoughts on Monolly for the Gold Cup, please, on next week's show? Well, we're going to do that right now, Roger. Monolly for the Gold Cup.
Wouldn't stay 3 mile 2 in a horse box.
And
absolutely no chance.
It's very interesting at the Dublin Racing Festival launch, Henry de Bromhead was asked about Monolly for the Irish Gold Cup, and Gary O'Brien said to him, do you think he stays 3 miles? He says, well, I always thought he would, but now I'm having second thoughts. So even Henry is, I think, thinking to himself, maybe he doesn't stay.
If you go and look at the finish of the Albert Barta 2 years ago in the RSA last year, like he's walking in the last furlong. So Cheltenham's not his cup of tea over that trip, no.
No, he certainly is. So there's a couple of questions from Twitter and YouTube. So moving on, we're going to have a chat about the novice chases at this year's Cheltenham Festival, which is obviously very, very open. We're just going to have a quick chat about the article, sponsored, of course, by the Racing Post. Lawler, an anti-post tip from Gavin Lynch on this show. 5-1, Kalashnikov 6-1, Dynamite Dollar 6-1, Laurishberg 7-1, Mengley Can 11-1, Defi Desai 11-1, 14-1 bar. Right now, at those prices, if you had to have a bet, who would you back?
Either Lawler or Laurishberg, they're the 2 I'd pick. I think Kalashnikov maybe once further. Dynamite Dollars is good going right-handed, but Lawler put him in his place previously, so I could see Lawler on a line through Dynamite Dollars beating them. But I think Laurishberg, I tipped him up at 28-1 for the JLT. I'd love to see Defi Desai come here and Laurishberg go there, but that's not going to happen. I don't think
I'll
so.
have a word with Joey. See what he says.
You go sort that out.
Yeah, if I was pushed, I'd just about go for Kalashnikov because I think he's just a better horse than Lawler, but it's
very
absolutely
race.
wide open.
Yeah,
and of course, Paloma Blue is in the 14-1 bar section.
He is.
Yeah, about as much chance myself, I think, at the moment. Moving on to the JLT Novices Chase, and another wide open race. Lost in Translation 6-1, Kalashnikov 9-1, Top of the Game 10-1, La Bagawa 10-1, Defi Desai 11-1, and Vindication 12-1, 12-1 bar. Well, I'm going to start off here.
Go ahead.
If Top of the Game runs in this race,
yes,
there's absolutely no way he'll be 10-1.
Okay.
And I think he will be extremely hard to beat.
Do you want to know what I think?
Yes.
If Top of the Game runs in this race, he definitely won't go off 10-1, and he'll prove very hard to beat. Honestly. And there's because he travelled like the winner, didn't he, in Kempton to the second
Traded so short and running.
Yeah, he had to have so.
Now, he's a big baby still, and it's about time he grew up, because he doesn't really have those battling qualities. But last year in the Coral Cup, I thought he did battle. He was only just beaten. Obviously handles Cheltenham. He's such a good jumper. I think he could win a Gold Cup someday.
Okay.
I think
if that's the case, he'll run to the RSA if they're thinking Gold Cups.
I'll tell you what, we'll have a match bet, okay? Top of the Game to win a Gold Cup someday, or 2A Pyramid to win a Gold Cup someday.
2A Pyramid, definitely.
Well, I go with Top of the Game.
The one other horse that needs a mention here is Winter Escape. He's 12-1. He gave a lot of weight away to a Plutard, gave that a stone, gave the rest of them £7. It won very well.
It's a hell of a performance.
It's a great performance, so I think that's probably underrated, Winter Escape. So Winter Escape or Top of the Game for me. Okay,
moving on to the RSA, which is shaping up to be probably the best novice race at the Cheltenham Festival. 3-1 Santini, 9-2 Delta Work, 15-2 Top of the Game, who we spoke about already. La Bagawa 9-1, OK Corral 11-1, Vindication 11-1, 14-1 bar. Delta Work for me.
Okay, Corral hopefully goes for the 4-miler. Top of the game, it's 50-50 maybe which way it goes. La Bagawa, she probably won't go to Cheltenham. She likes a flat track. How is Santini favourite? How is Santini 3-1? Explain
You
that
tell
to
me. I don't know.
When they turned in at Christmas in the Cato Star at Kempton, it looked as slow as I am, didn't it?
Yeah.
And it stays on and stays on. It's a very fashionable horse for some reason. But
Yeah, he's a kind of a sexy horse, and
He's a
that
sexy
Nicky
horse,
has
yeah.
always spoken about how much he
People
thinks
love
of him.
him.
People love him, but he hasn't done it yet.
not really. Like, he looked very one-paced in the Bartlett.
What a race this could be. The Flogas Novice Chase at Leopardstown on February 3rd. Delta Workfield, Lebagawa. Lebagawa, optimum conditions, bread and butter, left-handed, 2 mile 5, Leopardstown, flat track. Perfect for Lebagawa on that ground, but against Delta Work, who's just so good.
Yeah, it'll be a very, very good race. I'd probably just go for Delta Work, but she's very, very good. But I just don't understand his price, Santini.
Okay, so free bet in this race, who do you go for?
Delta Work.
Yeah, same as. And the final novice chase at the Cheltenham Festival, of course, it's not a handicap. It's the National Hunt Chase over 4 miles. Now, Gavin, last week on the show, you put all your eggs in one basket with OK Corral. And when you look through that list, you say to yourself, hold on a second, Impulsive Star is third favourite. OK Corral could be one of the shortest price at the meeting.
Yeah, I'd say it'll go off a lot shorter. It depends if we see anything in the meantime. Mortal ran okay behind Delta Work at Christmas. That might be, a horse that may be a danger. The danger is that OK Corral doesn't stay 4 miles, and there's literally no way of knowing.
Well, you have the best rider on board if he is going to stay in Derek O'Connor.
Because he's going to be patient.
Now, on that note, Damon Moffat on Twitter says, a bit abysmal up in the ante, David, this week. A bit like waking up to find you're married. Your mate fancies OK Corral. You're my mate.
Yeah.
But Red Zone won't enhance the price. Kind of defeats the point of tuning in. Well, no, Damon. It doesn't defeat the point of tuning in, because OK Corral at 3-1, we both think this could go off 6-4.
Yeah, it depends what we see in the next month. If we do see a horse winning impressively that goes with this race. But at the moment, the opposition looks weak, so he could go off 6-4, 2-1, yeah.
There we go. That is our review so far of the Novice Chasers for the 4 Novice Chases at the Cheltenham Festival in March. Now it's time to bring in Kane Calvin from our sponsors, RedZone.bet. We've got a couple of questions for Kane, and the first of those is, which I'm very interested to know, is who is RedZone's worst loser right now for the 2019 Cheltenham Festival?
Right, so as I've said before, Presenting Percy really has been the punter's favourite all year. It's just been a steady stream of bets the whole time, really, and I'd say it's fair enough. I mean, nothing else has stood out in the race, and Percy's just got shorter just by staying in his box. Elsewhere, the favourites multiples, horses like Altior, Bouvardere, Apples Jade, Tiger Roll, none of them individually are that bad for us, but combined it wouldn't be pretty.
Unbelievable. Presenting Percy is just possibly the most popular horse in training. We haven't even seen him yet this year, and he's one of the worst losers.
Will we see him on Thursday?
I think we will, because the ground is yielding to soft places at the moment. I think we will see him. I think we will. At least we'll find out if he's still alive anyway. And our second question to Kane is, what handicap do Red Zone fear most of all at the Cheltenham Festival each year?
Okay, so generally the lower the grade, the worse the gambles for us. I mean, if you look at the better handicaps like the Coral Cup and the County Hurdle, you have to show your hand to a certain degree nowadays just to get in the race. So it's hard for stables to line up coups like Martin Pipe and Tony Martin have done in the past, I mean. But the addition of newer races has made it easier elsewhere. So the Kim Moore, the Martin Pipe, the Festival Plate, they're still very dangerous for us. And if you look back to last year, Storyteller was particularly expensive, and it was our worst result of the festival last year.
And Gavin, you were to blame for that monster gamble on the Storyteller in the Burn Group Plate. You did back the Storyteller, probably not with RedZone.bet, but you were a big fan of Storyteller last year.
Yeah, I backed it on the day because you didn't know if it was going to go there or get in, etc. So, but yeah, I just backed it on the day.
Yeah, no, the Storyteller was a very, very...
It was a great ride.
Yeah, it was a brilliant ride by Davy Russell on the day. Now, before we move on to our selections for the Cheltenham Festival, for week 8, imagine we're 8 weeks in, Gavin, we're going to have a quick chat about the trainer's title and the Prestbury Cup at Cheltenham. And you have some very interesting and strong opinions, especially on the Prestbury Cup. The
Prestbury Cup, yeah. Ireland have won it for the last 3 years. We've won it 4 times in total. A week ago, I saw one particular firm that they were 11-4 Great Britain to win it. And I just thought if you go through all the markets and how many favourites they have, to me, Britain should be way short in that. But I think they're 13-8 at the moment, which is probably about right. I think Ireland are just going to struggle. If I had to have a bet, I'd back Britain at 13-8.
And what do you think the score will be?
Well, there's 28 race. I don't know. I suppose 15-13 or whatever, 16-12.
That's good maths.
Well done.
Just thought I'd catch you on the hop there.
No.
And the trainer's title, Red Zone at the moment, are 2-1, each of 3. Nicky Henderson, Gordon Elliott and Willie Mullins. But I know
But just at the moment,
You think there's a rick here?
yeah, just Willie shouldn't be 2-1. He should be bigger. And I love backing Willie Mullins' horse. I have done for years, and he's been
Willie
great.
should be bigger.
He's been very good to everybody at Cheltenham for years. But Willie Mullins at 2-1 does not represent value. His horses are not in good form. As I said to you yesterday, was the first winner at the weekend for a few weeks. If you look at Nicky's horses, Angel's Breath, Bouverdare, OK Corral, Altior, Champ, Santini, Epitant, he's got 7 favourites. And you could say he's 3 bankers in Altior, OK Corral and Bouverdare, right? Willie's best chances are Benny Didiu probably has to beat Apples Jade. Lorino has to beat Bouverdare. Min for the Ryanair is favourite. Penhill is favourite. Ken Boyd have a chance to Gold Cup. Footpad won't beat Altior. So he's got 2 favourites. But there's none of those you'd say is a banker. And Gordon has Apples Jade, Tiger Roll, Battle Over Diane, Delta Work. Envoy Allen is a banker if it runs in the bump. That will win the bumper if it runs, but it mightn't run in that race. Sire de Berlin, a handicap. So he has 4 favourites, but he definitely has 2 or 3 bankers. So I'd be betwixt in between rather for Nicky or Gordon, but I'd go for Gordon.
Okay, so Gavin thinks Willie should be bigger. Not the first time you said that, Gavin.
I'd say it probably is.
So now it's time for the most important part of the show. Gavin, we've been waiting patiently for your next tip for the Cheltenham Festival, and it is?
Waiting patiently.
In the Ryanair Chase,
Yes.
6-1 redzone.bet. But for the show, for Upping The Ante, that is going to be enhanced to 8-1. 8-1, waiting patiently for the Ryanair Chase. I know the Ireland editor, Richard Forrestal, is a big fan of waiting patiently, and so is Gavin Lynch.
Yeah, but they've said that it's not going to go off the Gold Cup, and it's going to go here. They're going to maybe wait for a Gold Cup next year.
Good move.
Yeah, I think so. Now, the one thing is that it's time to get on with it. Like, the horse is 8, so they needn't be procrastinating too much. They're very, very fussy about ground for this horse, as you know, a lot of horses are, like Lorena and so on. But the first thing I'll say is that the best place to start is with the best horse, and this is the highest rated horse in the race. It's rated 170. Min is rated 167. Footpad is rated 166. Monolith is rated 161. Undersow is now 11 years old at 168. And Top Notch is rated 162. So already we know that the British handicapper thinks that's the best horse in the race. It's definitely going to go here. It's 6 from 6 over fences until it was brought down in the King George, as we all know. And I just think there's the elephant in the room with this horse is the ground, that they've always pulled it out when the ground was good. So will they do it? I think
And the
it's
track,
just,
no? Is Cheltenham not a little bit of a worry?
I don't think so.
No?
No, it's one left-handed. It beat Politolog a couple of years ago going left-handed at Haydock. It beat Q-Card right-handed over 2-5.
Would you be worried that
Ascot.
all its form is on flat tracks?
I think it travels fantastic. Brian Hughes is a great pilot. He's very patient. When it does hit the front, it probably wanders around a little bit, which is fair. So I'd say because he's riding it, he'll hold it up for the last second. But I just think they need to take a chance if the ground is goodish. Like, they can't wait forever. It's a gelding, so it needs to run. But if it does run, last year you only had 6 in this race. It's going to be, what, a 5-2 shot in the day if there's 10 in it or less. So I think it's great value because you know it's going there. Like, there's still, you wouldn't be 100% sure about Min and Footpad. We all think Min is going here and Footpad's going to the Champion Chase. But like, there was talk about Footpad going to the King George.
Well, Tom Siegel in his anti-post price wise column in the Racing Post last week tipped up Min for the Champion Chase.
There
you know,
go.
so.
But at least you know, waiting patiently is the best horse in the race. It's the highest rate and it goes here. The only little worry is the ground, but I'm willing to take a chance. It's 11-2 non-runner no bet, but it's 6-1 with red zone and 8-1.
8-1.
Yeah.
8-1.
Boost,
Waiting patiently for the Ryanair. That is value. Whether you fancy the horse or not, it's value.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how strong would you be on waiting
I'd be
patiently?
a 7, just the ground, I suppose, is the thing. Yeah.
Okay, 7 is quite high. Is Tiger Roll 10?
9.8 on the Richter scale.
Okay, very good. So waiting patiently is Gavin Lynch's fancy for the 2019 Cheltenham Festival, and your book at the minute is it's getting better.
It's getting better.
Yeah, it's getting better. So now it's time for my selection, and it is a horse that ran on Saturday. I think a very much underrated horse, and it is Mr. Fisher from the Nicky Henderson stable. A couple of things to note: it won the Supreme Trial at Haydock on Saturday. And while you think, when you look at the race, always a small field, you wouldn't think it usually gives that many clues. But if you go back, Neon Wolf won it in 2017, was just touched off in the Ballymore. Amaretto Rose won it in 2007, was third to Zion in the Supreme. Cinders and Ashes won it in 2012, went on to win the Supreme. Le Prisiem was second in 2016, turned out to be quite a good horse. And Peddler's Cross, of course, won it in 2010 and went on to win the Ballymore. So it's a proper trial. And I think the race that he won on St Stephen's Day at Kempton, the novice hurdle, was the best novice hurdle run on either side of the Irish Sea, I think, this year. Yeah, it was a proper race, I thought anyway, on the day. Rouge Vif, who was second. Rouge Vif is not a horse that many people would know, but Rouge Vif is a proper horse trained by Harry Wintington. He's entered in Wincanton on Friday. He beat Oakley by 10 lengths on his previous race. Oakley's rated 130. That gives you a level of the form. Thomas Darby, who was third to Mr. Fisher in Kempton, he went and won reasonably impressively at Taunton at the weekend. Did They Leave You Away Too was well beaten. He's one of the stronger fancies for the Betfair Hurdle. I thought it was a really good race. On Saturday, he beat Bright Forecast quite convincingly, giving him £3. Bright Forecast rate 139. James Bowen was blown away afterwards. I don't know if you've seen the interview, but he said he cannot believe how much speed this horse has. He bunny hopped at second last. He was a little bit fiddly over
well
1 and 2, but he travelled well. I think he's a lovely horse. I think he's a better horse than Angel's Breath, who's 11 to 2 at the moment. Angel's Breath, that form at Ascot. Danny Curran was second. Seddon, who was third, was beaten in a handicap of 137. Thistledown Nicely, who we spoke about earlier, was beaten by the mare of Nicky Henderson's. Beaten 19 lengths, was fourth in that race at Ascot. I just think there's more substance to Mr. Fisher's form. If you were to give me 2 bets in the race, I'd back Mr. Fisher and Vision Donaire. Vision Donaire has only won a maiden hurdle at Punchestown. So I think
that price is very short.
Yeah, it probably is. Mr. Fisher's gone and done it. Like going into Saturday, he's rated 142. I'm sure he'll go up much higher in the 140s after that performance. And the average rating of the last 7 winners of the Supreme is 149. Cinders Nash is only 142 when he won it. Champagne Fever 148. LeBake 144. You've obviously got your Altior, Duvan and Vautour who are all rated 155. But the average rating of the winner of the Supreme in the last 7 years is 149, which brings Mr. Fisher right into it, considering it's not a vintage renewal, Gavin.
No, definitely not. Yeah, it was rated 142 before the weekend. It'll go up from that, and it's open to more improvement. It'll be interesting to see if it runs once more before Cheltenham, perhaps, or not.
Absolutely. And you can get 14 to 1 viewers of Upping The Ante with RedZone.bet. Mr. Fisher, 14 to 1 for the Supreme Novice Hurdle. I think that is great value. I think it'll be a single figure price on the day. Now, Gavin, they have to tune in next week.
Okay.
What you told me before the show, you've got the winner of what race?
I'm not telling you next week.
No,
Fred Winter.
You've got the winner of the Fred Winter.
Well, I think, yeah, it's a horse I'm going to back in it anyway.
You're quite excited about this horse?
Yeah, but I'll tell you when the weights come out.
Okay, so how long do we have to wait?
Another few weeks.
Okay, so Gavin
Which we'll present him Percy to talk about next week.
We certainly will. Hopefully presenting Percy will run in the Galmoy Hurdle at Thurles, or at Gorham Park on Thursday, and we've also got the Tiestas on Thursday. We've got plenty of action at the weekend. We've got the Cotswold Chase and the Cleeve Hurdle at Cheltenham. So don't forget to tune in to Upping The Ante next week for week 9, Gavin. We're getting closer.
Yeah, I think it's 7 weeks to go. So
7 weeks to go. I've been David Jennings. He's been Gavin Lynch. Thanks for tuning in.
RedZone Sports.bet. Wham, bam, thank you, Uncle Sam.